everyone! Well, after our last big travel day, we had, you guessed it, another travel day for day 5 of our 14er project. Sure, Colorado has a lot of 14ers, but in order to pick ones that didn't involve huge hikes every day for this project, we had to do a little bit of driving.
And like most good days, we began with a couple cups of coffee from the Coffee Trader in Grand Junction, our 5th coffee shop of the project.
We're going to start the day off with a beautiful drive through the Colorado Monument for our scenic drive. But first, coffee.
This place came highly recommended by our new friends from the Peach Street Distillery that we met in episode 4. Of course, anytime there's a bin of day-old pastries, I have to indulge.
Now that we've got our coffee, it is time to go on a beautiful drive.
And a jalapeno cheddar scone. Day old, so it's half off.
We got our coffees to go so that we could hit the road early for our 5th scenic drive. 23 miles through Colorado National Monument. This is part of the National Park System, which means that handy park pass you hopefully have in your wallet will get you in free of charge. We've driven by this place countless times over the years, yet never made the effort to go back and take a look.
Turns out it's an incredibly scenic area with lots of hiking opportunities. But it was already over 90 degrees, so we opted to stay in the air-conditioned truck and save some energy for the next day's 14er hikes.
Rimrock Road is also a favorite amongst cyclists looking for a little scenery during their morning workouts.
In classic Colorado style, the road was full of grand views, drop-offs, lots of colors, tight tunnels, and steep, winding sections.
Ultimately, our goal was to drive to our friend's house in Aspen, drop off the camper, and get a good night's sleep before having to hike a few 14ers the next day. Of course, we tend to enjoy veering off course just a little bit to explore.
Rifle Falls State Park is another location that we've passed nearby several times, yet never felt compelled to visit. Thanks to our 14er project, we decided to finally give in to the urge and made the Triple Falls at Rifle our 6th water feature. Unfortunately, it turns out the parking at the falls is a little bit tight.
So we had to find a gravel pullout on the side of the road and just start walking towards the sound of falling water.
A short distance later, we reached the top of the Triple Falls and quickly made our way down to the bottom.
So we're here at Rifle Falls State Park, which, as you can see, is a triple waterfall. I do think it's man-made though. If you look really close at the one to the far right of the screen, you can see the water diverted to make the 3rd waterfall, but it's still pretty neat to look at.
Near the waterfalls are a couple of small limestone caves that you can explore. You could definitely tell that Kendrick was getting back in touch with his primal caveman roots in there.
On our way back to Little Bear, we stumbled upon our 5th wildflower. The fact that it's a common flower makes it no less appealing though.
For day 5, our next flower is going to be the common sunflower. A lot of us know this flower already, but it is so beautiful we had to feature it. It is native to Colorado and it is found in lower elevations like the plains and foothills. Finally, it was time for the moment we've all been waiting for, a distillery.
And a brewery.
First up was the Marble Distilling Company in Carbondale. The distillery is named after the nearby town of Marble that developed in the 1880s as a hub for the local marble industry.
First we bellied up to the bar in the tasting room and had a few flights of their whiskeys and some of their other liquors. Everything came served on a smooth slab of marble and accompanied by a description from the bartender.
So welcome to Marble. We're having a whiskey flight today, and starting on the back end is going to be our bourbon. That is going to be right next to it is going to be our rye, right in the front, and then you're going to have a triticale in the back, and a marriage right in the front next to it. So enjoy. Perfect. Thanks for coming in today.
Eventually, we met one of the distillers, Julius.
So the name Marble comes from a couple different things. Our proprietors, Connie and Carrie, they have a house in Marble, they live in Marble. This was a brainchild of living in Marble, wanted to make spirits. This bar that we're looking at right now, this comes from the old quarry in Marble. It's the same quarry that the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the Lincoln Memorial was made from. The other factor is we filter our vodka high wines through Marble. It acts as a pH buffer. By law, you're allowed to add citric acid, a nominal amount of sugar. We believe that we don't do either of those things in our vodka recipe, but the Marble acts as the pH buffer, and our mash bill accounts for the sweetness that a lot of people would normally expect in the vodka.
He shared his knowledge of spirits, gave us a private tour. He also let us sample a few special selections straight out of the barrels.
One byproduct of distilling is lots of spent grain. It seems that more and more distilleries and breweries are starting to team up with local farmers to use this as feed for their livestock. While at Marble Distilling, we got to meet one of these farmers.
My name is Tim Niklanik, and I got to know these guys 2 or 3 years ago. They needed a place to get rid of the mash, and we decided that we would try to feed it to our cows, and we did, and it's working actually pretty well. We're finishing cattle on it, and the meat is excellent.
The Marble Distillery ended up standing out above all the other distilleries we had visited so far. The location, the people, the experience, and most important, the whiskeys and other spirits were all top-notch.
Finally, it was time for some food. By now, you should know us well enough to know that we like to kill 2 birds with 1 stone whenever we can. We headed to our 6th brewery, Carbondale Beer Works, for a beer and some dinner. This is another place in Colorado that I've been visiting for years. The bar and patio are a cozy atmosphere, the food has always been great, and the beer seems to get better and better each time I visit.
And as usual, we got to get in a little chat with the bartender.
Okay, well, started at Beer Works here about 4 months ago. Fell in love with it. Tons of fun people, tons of fun times. The beer, delicious, fun, exciting. Different than any other beers you get around the valley, which is really great. The valley itself is just one of the best places to live entirely. I lived out here for 5 years, and I can't see myself living anywhere else, to be quite honest. So come on in, come enjoy it. I'll get you a beer.
And we also got to chat with a local who told us what it was like to live in Carbondale.
So I love being able to walk here from my house, and everybody here is like so friendly. It's like really peaceful. They play like old 60s music, which I can identify with. The bartenders are like actors. I mean, they're like funny and local and cool. Like, look at this adorable young chap. And the margarita is fantastic. I mean, I love being able to like come home to like a real community full of people that are amazing. And that's what we get here in Carbondale. It's the best place.
Now, it was finally time to head to our friend's house in Aspen and hang our hats on day number 5, because day 6 had us returning to the thin air of 14,000 feet. Our totals so far for the project? 2 14ers, 7 distilleries, 6 breweries, 5 coffee shops, 5 wildflowers, 6 water features, and 5 scenic drives. Whoa.
Though these last few travel days have been exhausting, I have to admit that my body kind of enjoyed the break because we had a lot more 14ers to go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to follow the rest of our Colorado 14er project by subscribing to this YouTube channel. You can read more about each day and find information about our photography workshops and guided backpacking trips at mandyleaphoto.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Mandy Lea Photo and at Kendrick Calloway. So here's to 9 more days exploring colorful Colorado. Love and light.
Gosh, I can't tell where your hair ends and your shirt begins.
Well, I can't tell where your hair ends and your beard begins.